The Dog Show with Nick and Joe. The Dog Show.
And the Dog Show with Nick and Joe. Nick is out fucking off in Italy right now. So I am joined by a good friend of mine, owner of Alpha Training Center, Mr. Joey Morris. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well today. We're a little tired. We were up late last night. Joey flew in last night, right?
Exactly.
Flight got delayed, so he got into Dulles International at about 9:30, and we went out and cruised the town in D.C. a little bit, and so it was a late one. So we're trying to recover here.
I'm digging my voice up in this thing.
Oh, how you like the studio, man?
It's pretty epic, I
Yeah?
gotta say. And my voice sounds like awesome on here.
Yeah, well,
I'm kind of digging it.
maybe it sounds awesome in real life. Who knows? So tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Joey Morris, one of the owners at Alpha Training Center. Michelle Rodney, Robert Camps are the other two. Do everything from personal protection dogs to law enforcement to border patrol to Lackland to just being pet dog trainers. That's where I started out with. Worked at SeaWorld as well and got my degree in animal behavior and just kind of took off from there. Got into decoying pretty good. Love that. Love building dogs and doing seminars and workshops.
Nice, man. Yeah, so I've actually done a lot of work with Joey Morris, and we became really, really good friends. And this is a mentor of mine, somebody who I really look up to in the dog training industry. This guy knows dogs. Anybody, even, the most professional dog trainers with most experience in the world, you spend 10 minutes with Joey Morris and you're going to learn something. Where do you think you get all that from?
I think just learning and listening to other people. I mean, the biggest thing you can do is just listen and learn basically every time you talk to somebody, right. Whether they're a beginning PetSmart trainer or a 20-year veteran that's been doing military working dogs. I think if you're not looking to steal something from somebody, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah, for sure. So anyhow, we're glad to have Mr. Morris with us today. As I said, Nick is screwing off in Italy right now. He finished up his seminar, and so he is kind of touring the country now of Italy. And I haven't heard from him a whole lot since he's been gone.
He's on Facebook enough.
Yeah, everyone. Well, from my understanding, he has really shitty service wherever he's at.
Right,
but every once in a while, I'll get a text that comes through and says, "Most epic stories ever" when I get home.
Nice.
So I think I think he lands tomorrow, but I think we're gonna wait to talk about his epic stories on next week's podcast, so we can all hear it for the first time together. So pretty excited about that. So let's get into some news, and then we're gonna get into our heavy topic of the day. So I went through some stories over the last couple of days, and this is my top 3 or 4 stories. We'll see how long we get into these. So I actually saw this on Fox News, and this blew my mind. Millennials are picking pets over people.
It should say snowflakes, but go ahead.
Well, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so essentially what they're saying is, so this is a kind of little fun fact for everyone. 3/4 of Americans in their 30s actually have dogs. Did you know that?
I did not.
That seems like a lot, right?
Seems a little high.
Yeah, that seems like a lot. And out of all of those people, they did a survey, not all of them, but they did a survey, and they did the math or whatever.
Right.
And 70% of those people would rather spend time with their dogs than other humans.
That's awesome.
Is that insane?
That speaks volumes for the society.
Yeah, I was going to say, what does that say about us, man?
Well, you know.
I kind of feel the same way though. I'm not gonna lie. And maybe I fall into that statistic because I'm in my 30s and I have dogs and I'm a dog trainer, and dogs are my life as they are yours. But yeah, man.
I mean, I can't disagree with that statement.
Yeah.
3 of the 4. I think I would put myself I would be on the 3 out of the 4.
Yeah.
Even though I did call them fucking snowflakes, which would make me a snowflake, which would upset me terribly.
Yeah.
But I would definitely probably, other than a select few humans on the planet, put myself in the 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. So, and it also says here that out of that 70%,
Shit.
okay, are you following?
Yeah.
Out of that
I
70%,
might need my toes. Go ahead.
71% out of that 70% are
71.
men. So it's
Can you say that one more time?
okay. So
I feel like I'm playing Jeopardy, but one more time.
70%, 71% of the 70% are men,
Interesting.
and
So,
essentially men enjoy hanging out with their dogs more than, or women would prefer hanging out with humans than dogs, whereas men prefer hanging out with dogs than humans.
Well, that would go
this is fucking confusing.
that would go against
I'm getting
the whole,
lost.
That would go against the whole
You know what I mean.
men or dogs.
Yeah, well, there you go. Nice. I like that.
We're getting a little deep, but yeah.
So anyhow, I thought that was a little cool, little fun fact for everybody out there. Maybe we need to improve as a society a little bit, at least, us in our 30s. So.
Start listening to our dogs.
So here's another cool one, man. I got Kathleen, the dog Kathleen,
Yeah.
walked 20 miles to find her owners that gave up on her,
Oh my god, I hate these stories.
but now she has an amazing new home. So
See, these stories get me in trouble.
dude, I'm gonna
But can
post.
I call bullshit on this story?
Well, listen,
Okay.
hear this out. This is crazy. And then absolutely you can call bullshit on this because I may as well. So this family had this dog, and this is in, I believe, Oregon, Oklahoma.
Because I'm already laughing, and I'm gonna feel really bad if I'm giggling.
No,
like
this
that.
is a good ending.
Okay, cool.
All right, so Oklahoma is where this happened. So a family ended up moving to a new house that they were renting, and the landlords would not allow
Always.
dogs in the house, so they had to adopt the dog out. So they adopted the dog out to another family, and then they moved, 20 miles away.
Yeah.
This dog left the new family
Amazing.
and hiked 6 hours, 20 miles to the new family for the new family to go, sorry, bro, you got to go back. Or, excuse me, for the existing family. And then they went, sorry, bro, you got to go back to your new family.
Nice.
Okay, here's the funny part.
Go ahead.
This happened twice.
Okay.
So I guess
Wait, this story happened twice?
the dog left this family's house twice to go find its old owners, and the old owners turned it back to the new family twice.
Wow. That's awesome.
So somebody got involved and they ended up adopting the dog out to another family. Apparently the dog wasn't stoked to be at his new house. So
the dog traveled 20 miles back.
twice
To the family that took it to the shelter and gave up on it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So you call bullshit or
Well, I mean, I guess I don't have that much faith in humanity. Yeah, I got to call somebody wanted a story on that one, but I could be wrong.
okay. Yeah.
But I mean, if that dog did that, then maybe I'm setting the bar too low for some of the training scenarios I put my dogs through. That's beyond operant conditioning on that. Like that's definitely a Skinner kind of a
yeah.
20-mile.
Yeah, no doubt.
Tracking, that could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sign him up.
Sign them up.
Sign him up.
Breed that thing.
So this next one I got, Joey, this is a little bit of a sad one.
Okay. Let me get this mouth.
A family in Phoenix they hired one of those mobile pet grooming, the vans to come to your house, get your dogs, bathe them in the van, and then knock on your door and hand you a perfectly clean dog, right?
Go ahead.
So they do that, and I don't know if a couple hours went by. That's what it's saying. A couple hours went by, and the owner of the dog was like, man, it doesn't normally take a couple hours for my dog to get groomed. So she goes out to the van, and unfortunately, when she opens up the door, she sees her dog hanging on the grooming table, and the groomer was unconscious in the van. So let me see if she passed away. I don't think she did. It was a medical issue, it's saying, and they're doing an autopsy on the dog to see if there was foul play involved or not. So apparently they're not convinced it was a medical issue why the lady was asleep or unconscious. I don't know. It's a weird story. It doesn't give a whole lot of details. That's why it kind of it's one I'm going to follow. It's one that caught my my eye when I read it.
So they think there's some foul play.
I mean, why else would you be doing an autopsy on the dog, right? I mean, you would have to. Somebody thought there was foul play, right?
Yeah, I guess so. That's kind of odd.
So anyhow, that's a sad one. I'll keep you guys updated on that, though. Now, this last one, this is one that I think everyone needs to listen up for. The pet flu, the dog flu. It's a real thing. I don't know if you guys knew that, but it is a real thing. I was kind of cruising through dog news stories on YouTube and came up with this recent one that was done by CBS in Philly. I'm going to go ahead and play it now.
Watch tonight. The flu season started earlier than usual, spiked quickly, and is probably peaking now. And some people are worried about their pets getting the flu because so many people are infected.
With so many people sick with contagious ailments, many are asking, can my pet catch it too?
The flu is seen year-round in pets.
Veterinarians say flu mainly affects dogs, and the signs are much like what you'd see in people.
There'll be coughing and sneezing, nasal discharge, ocular discharge.
And that's where the similarity ends. The flu cannot be spread between people and pets.
The dog flu and the people flu are not related. It's not zoonotic, meaning dogs can't pass the flu to their owners, and owners can't pass their flu to the dog.
The strains are different, and while human influenza happens during winter months, dog flu that spread from pet to pet can happen any time of year. There are currently no localized canine outbreaks, but some people are worried about seeing flu symptoms in their pets.
They're at home, so they have more time, so they're looking at their animals now because they're probably not at work.
Best way to keep your dog healthy, just like with people, get them vaccinated. There are flu shots for people and their four-legged best friends, but made with different formulations. Now, dog flu can also be spread between animals or in food bowls, which is why veterinarians say pet owners should be careful in places like grooming salons, daycare, and dog parks.
Dog parks, there it is. Yeah. Flu's going around for dogs.
You should be worried about it every place but my place that sells the vaccine. I got a little too much conspiracy theory for that. But
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
That's a deep one. We could go on that topic.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that for sure. I'm definitely curious. But before we hear Joey's theory on that, I don't know a whole lot about the dog flu. It sounded credible to me. It sounded pretty serious to me. So I would have to say, look into getting your dogs vaccinated. And I don't know if there's a cat flu, but if you have a cat, get that one vaccinated too.
There's not enough revenue behind cats.
He went there. So real quick, we want to jump into our show sponsor, DemonetBiteSuits.com. I believe you are wearing.
I am wearing.
He's wearing the pants of his brand new custom suit.
I can't get out of it.
So Chris over at DemonetBiteSuits.com. By the way, follow them on Facebook.
Yeah.
They post some crazy epic shit up there, and it's fun to follow them, even if you're not into the sport. But by far the best suits, right?
I'm really happy with my suit. I haven't tried all the suits, so maybe I shouldn't say the best suit, but I can tell you this is a really good suit. Buddy of mine, my brother Cody, wears them a lot. So,
yeah.
And a lot of my friends did. And I kind of wanted one, and I needed a new suit. And I like the fact that everything was custom coming from them, or could be. And so I reached out to Chris and kind of said, hey, brother, I'm interested in, kind of switching some suits and trying one of your suits out. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, I'd love to help you design something or design something for you. So he came back with this design, which was epic. It's for Alpha and the big logo on the back. and it's super light. It's a semi-comp. Out of the box, I can move in it well.
Yeah, they still need to be broken in, of course.
Yeah, I think if you're definitely been in the suit for a while, you definitely can jump right in it and work it. If you're probably a little green and don't move well in the suit, it's probably going to seem extremely stiff. But as far as suits go, it's probably I'm very happy with the suit. It's thin enough where I can feel a bite, but yet I feel like I could slip a bite if I had to get out of the way of it. No gauntlets on brings the good pain. Light gauntlets, so allow you to catch 5 to 10 dogs a day and do it justice.
Sure.
So I love the suit. I totally rep it and love it, and I think I've turned 4 or 5 people on to just getting them just because of, they ask me like, what do you think about it? And the thing I like is lightweight. It moves well out of the box, which tells me, depending on how many bites you take, how quickly it's going to break in.
Yeah.
Unless you're just crazy like me and you just wear it all the time and just live in it. That's what my recommendation is when you get a new suit. But as far as suits go, I really don't know if it can get much better. But
yeah, and the customer service, like I always say, is absolutely great.
It was 3 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Same for me, 3 weeks. And I ordered directly from Chris. I went through DemonetBiteSuits.com Facebook page, pinged him up on Messenger from there, and he was right on it. And
quick story for me, because people that know me, I don't wait well, so I get a little frantic when I want something.
Sure.
So I was try not to bug Chris because I knew it was going to be a while, but it was right during Christmas season when I bought it, and Chris could probably correct me on this, but somebody, government agency, ordered a shit ton of bite suits from them while my order was in.
And we got ours at the same time, so we put our orders in at the
Chris
same
was
time.
like, hey bro, just giving you a heads up, I'm sorry about this, but it may not make it there by Christmas or something like that. And it ended up that Monday he shot me the FedEx and was like, dude, it's coming to be here Monday.
Yeah, same.
And Demon A was like, dude, get pictures of this suit. This might be one of the coolest suits we made. So
it is badass.
I was really, when I opened it up, I was like, it was like Christmas.
Joey was in our green room, which happens to be our warehouse, our facility for training before the show, catching dogs in his Demone bite suit, actually catching my personal dog.
It was awesome.
Which used to be Joey's personal dog, Diesel D2 we call him. Man, that dude's a savage, right?
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, but
it was fun to catch him again.
yeah, I love that dog. All right, so our heavy topic. Let's get into that, man. So I texted Joey about a week ago and told him what I thought we should discuss on today's show, and this was tough for me to think about because Joey and I, whenever he comes and visits and hangs out for a few days or even a few weeks sometimes. At night times, we'll go hang out somewhere, whether it's in my garage or in the living room or whatever, and we will literally just talk dogs and dog theories for hours, like hours. So I knew that this topic had to be something that you and I could kind of really go deep into, that you're very knowledgeable in. So I texted him and I said, what do you think about this one, which is, does my dog need a job? And he said, nailed it, perfect. So we started, kind of jotting some notes. We haven't really discussed this with each other.
Right.
In preparation for this podcast, a little bit on the couch before we walked in here, we got in and I was like, oh man, I need to step out. We need to save this. So
sometimes when I start flowing, it just comes out.
Right. No, I hear you. So does my dog need a job? Mr. Moores, what do you think, sir?
The short answer, and this is what I said when you sent me the thing, the short answer was, well, yes, of course. It's an easy answer.
Sure.
But I think what we were getting into on the couch was, well, okay, client A walks in, and client A can be anything from grandma with a chihuahua to a wannabe canine handler with a dog he imported. Mm-hmm. So they want to make their dog XYZ, can you do it, and can you give the dog a job? And that's where it gets a little complicated, as far as not overselling the client, but giving the client what they need or what they want, and helping them come to a realization that is all Fluffy's going to be. And Fluffy job might be, walking to get the mail with them in the morning.
Yeah.
And coming back home. So
Yeah.
that's my short version.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you on that. Like I said before we started the show, again, my short answer is yes, but I also believe that, as Nick and I always say, there's exceptions for everything. And, you know, take your English bulldog that just wants to kind of lay around on the couch all day and
I got one of those.
and sleep. You know, does he necessarily need a job? No, but then you said that kind of is his job,
Exactly.
is sleeping around on the couch. So as far as like a working job, you know, there are dogs out there that don't necessarily need that. Now, the dogs that aren't, you know, lazy bums that, you know, kind of hang out all day and just sleep and all that stuff, you know, and it's not in their nature to do that. And, you know, they're even somewhat energetic, then absolutely. And my reasoning behind that is it's not going to hurt, right? I mean, it's not going to, if anything, your dog's going to get this added mental stimulation, right?
Right.
That he didn't have before, that's going to actually make him an overall better pet for you anyway. It's just going to make him more well-mannered. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, we could call it a job, an activity. You know, you can label it whatever you wanted to label it.
Yeah.
But I think if you got a Patterdale Terrier, then it better do something with rodents and prey drive.
Yeah.
If you got a Yorkie or a Shih Tzu, you know what I mean? You better find something for it to do. And again, it's just going to make a healthier pet. I don't necessarily, like you said, is the dog's world going to end if it just eats treats and walks in the backyard and chases a squirrel? No.
Right.
In my belief, it becomes the norm or its job. But at the same time, the thing I think we were kind of skating around is that when we see people, and I think you guys touched on it on episode 2 or 3, that when we see people get dogs that they think want a certain job, and the dog has no earthly chance of ever getting there, you know,
Yeah.
how do we tell that person to, you know, maybe, I guess, pick another path for another job? You know,
Well,
that's the thing I struggle with sometimes, as far as, you know, making someone understand.
Yeah, I see. That's
Fluffy's not gonna do what you think Fluffy can do, but he can do it just at a strong level. And it's like I tell people all the time: everybody doesn't have to be a Navy SEAL to be able to shoot, run, jump. We got the Spartan races. We have all these things for
sure.
humans that dumb down, lack of a better word, real professional things.
Yeah.
So to me, it's the same as a dog. You guys have a detection program, and you've said many times our dogs aren't going to go to Afghanistan and look for bombs. But, you know, if grandma gets active and gets off the couch and takes her dog out and they find clove,
Yeah.
you know, what harm is that doing? I think that's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I obviously 100% agree with you on that because, you know, going off of what I said earlier about if your dog is even somewhat active, it needs a job. And, you know, the most frequent, because I tell that to all my clients, you know, because
Right.
I genuinely believe it, that, you know, again, it's not going to hurt. If anything, it's going to help tremendously. You know what I mean? But, you know, the big question I get is what job, you know, and you got to make sure you pick the right job, obviously.
For the client too.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, I'm probably gonna. I guess I'll be Nick and get in trouble. But if she's 300 pounds, you probably don't want to tell her to go take out agility.
Or tracking.
Yeah, I mean, unless she's wants to, you know, go into some hard cardio and train herself, which is awesome.
Yeah.
and positive. But again, at the same time, as I wouldn't take somebody who wants to run all the time and tell them to, like, hey, take up Schutzen tracking and
Right.
walk at, you know, this pace behind your dog slowly, and the guy's like all amped up or the girl's amped up and like, I got to do something really quick. You're going to push them, like, you need to be in agility. So I try to match the energy of the person and the dog to the activity.
Yeah, and that can be difficult sometimes.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know, because, and to kind of go off that, we have people that, you know, get a German Shepherd, you know, from the Amish. I'm not jabbing at them. I'm just using them as an example. They get a German Shepherd.
I'm from Ohio, so Middlefield, we know you're strong. I just called him out.
So you get a German Shepherd from the Amish or whatever, and you bring it to a trainer in your area, and then you say, I want this dog to be a personal protection dog.
Yeah.
And, you know, trainer evaluates that dog and 15 seconds, they say, no chance. And then they get salty about it or they get emotional over it because their dog will not do what their dog was or what they wanted their dog to be bred to do.
Right.
Right. So, you gotta be, I guess, intelligent in a sense when you get a dog and you're going to give that dog a job, as we said on, last week's show or week 2, whatever it was. Do your research, figure out what kind of dog it is you're actually getting. But my point with the detection is I believe any dog can do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hunt.
It's every dog has a hunt drive, every dog eats, so if you have to use their food, and I firmly believe, as I said in there before we walked in, is every dog who is comfortable where they're living at, not necessarily, ecstatically happy, but comfortable where they're living at, and they're not walking around scared or whatever. I do believe every dog has an HVR, a high value reward, something of high value that dog will go ape shit over, right? Would you agree to that? Or
yeah, I mean, yeah,
and you can use that HVR to hunt,
yeah,
which is detection, so and there's several different techniques and methods of how to teach detection. But I mean, let's be honest, it's not rocket science if you're teaching it to a pet. As you said, if they're just going around the house finding clove or whatever, it's not like they have to, sit down and laser focus on that specific bathroom drawer that it's in.
It'd kind of be epic if grandmother did look for her dentures or something.
That would be cool.
Now do this passive alert and just vibrating for
Hell
her
yeah.
dentures.
Hell yeah. So, I mean, so what do you think? As far as the majority of dogs, what job or let me ask you this, Joey. What are the jobs? You tell me what your theory is on jobs or activities, whatever you want to call it, for pets.
Yeah, for pets or in general, but definitely for pets, again, the job to me has become the new norm, whatever the dog's is in its life. So if the soccer family who goes to the soccer park every Saturday and Sunday, and they're traveling a lot, and the dog, it's not realistic for me to tell them to take up agility or to take up anything. What I have to do as a trainer for me is I have to try to come up with a regimen or a training or, as you say, a job that can help that family build that bond together. And then that's going to take it over. So it actually becomes training, which is something I say a lot, is work is play and play is work. So if the family goes to the soccer field every Saturday, then the dog's job can maybe be, grab the soccer bag out of the back of the thing, maybe walk with, a water bottle in its mouth down to the field, maybe put a pack on it and, let it carry the water down to the field, depending on the breed and the size. So I always personally try to adapt it. And I get, maybe that sounds like I'm skating the answer, but I try to adapt it to not only the dog and the breed, but the actual owner itself. And like I said, when I first came here and seen the detection, it's like, I think people get caught up when they hear pet dog detection and with the word detection, and a lot of it maybe come from the working dog people because it's not what we call detection, so to speak, but it is because, again, are they using prey drive to go kill the rabbit like you would to teach a dog for narcotics? No. But at the same time, is the dog actively hunting? Yes. Is the dog finding the odor? Yes. Is grandma happy? Yes. And at the end of the day, if the client is happy, that's what your end goal is. So for me, I don't try to pigeonhole, put myself in a pigeonhole to get to the point where I have to say Fido's an XYZ, so he has to do this activity. I want to look at the whole picture and kind of gauge it to everything. But again, that's kind of the basis of what everything I do, whether it be personal protection dogs or anything. I try to gauge it as much as possibly.
What about obedience? And is obedience a job in your...
Yeah, it can be.
Okay.
It definitely can be. And again, if I'm reaching for straws and I don't have anything, then yeah, I'll fall back on obedience because ultimately obedience is going to structure this whole creature anyways.
But I feel like for some dogs, obedience just isn't enough. I mean, take D2 for example. I could fucking do come sit, place down, heel all day with him, and he'll look at me and go, bro.
Yeah, I think as trainers, that's where we have to step up and look someone in the eye and say, hey, dude, you need to either think about taking on these career paths with your dog. As far as career paths, I mean, what we're talking about, the canine job, or, you know, not really relocate the dog, but, you know, think about what you're going to be dealing with, because you may be going through, you know, a lot of heartache, a lot of hardship, a lot of compulsion to just revamp your thought process and still enjoy your dog. And that's the one thing I wish people would just enjoy what they have, and, you know, not call it a washout, not go, just find the job for the dog.
Yeah.
Just find something for that dog to do, because it's out there. It may be bed bugs, maybe it is just walking with grandmother. And, you know, we started making really obedience dogs that maybe didn't have the nose or the bite work to do protection work or government work. So we started to put wicked obedience on them and try to find them a home, you know, whether it be in a sport dog home or an agility dog, you know, a competition dog, dock diving, weight pooling. You know, we've tried a lot of different avenues to place dogs and basically give them a different job than, quote unquote, they were bred for.
Yeah, for sure. And another cool part about that is maybe you as the owner find a new passion.
True.
Right? I mean, like,
Take up cats.
I was never a fan of bite work, to be honest with you, because before I knew anything about it, it was, you know, just a guy put on a suit and he got bit by a dog. I'm like, who the fuck wants to do that? Like, that's miserable.
Me.
And then you learn that there's so much more to it, man. It's like I call it the fine art of dog training. Like, it really is artistic once you watch the decoy actually training this dog while he's on the bite. It's absolutely insane to watch, and I became addicted. I mean, I got bit by the bug, you know, and
Yeah.
This is something that I never really liked.
Yeah.
And then once you learn about it, you're like, shit, man, this is fucking awesome, right?
It's totally badass.
So, you know, there's that where you could, you know, essentially find a new passion for you, you know, get your dog mentally stimulated. But here's what I really like about finding a job for your dog, whatever that job may be, as long as it's fulfilling for the dog, right? We got to put that caveat
And the
in
owner,
there.
because they won't do it anymore if it's not.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, it could really, for the dogs that have heavy, or even light behavioral problems, you know, this could be the secret sauce, right, Joey?
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely used it for dogs with aggression to actually teach them when to bite and not just to bite.
Turn that uncontrolled aggression into controlled aggression.
Yeah. And again, it's you know, that's probably a debatable topic. I'm sure Facebook trainers are blowing that up as we speak. But to me, that's, if you can just take that behavior and modify it and shape it, which is basically all we do as trainers anyways, if I can just shape that behavior instead of correct that behavior or nerf that behavior, to me, it keeps the dog more balanced and solid. But as a trainer, that does take more time than to just nerf a behavior and just use compulsion to bring it down. To me, I like to build a nice confident, and I'm talking about basically aggression dogs in general. Those are the ones for me that typically have the hardest cases for someone to really bond. But most people that do aggressive dogs come out with a great bond with that dog when they come out. Like, those are the ones we usually remember, is that super aggressive dog that maybe the owner or we didn't even think we were going to get through to, and then we broke through, and it's like you kind of don't forget that dog.
Yeah.
So for me, aggression is probably the number one thing. I think giving the dog a job, or destruction, I guess you could use, anxiety, you know what I mean? Letting the dog hunt for something and dig it out. I've used dogs that dig holes in property. I've made them a sand pit and hid bones and little trinkets that they love in the sand pit.
Yeah.
And gave the owners, like, here, teach the dog to only dig here and he'll get rewarded.
Right.
So basically it's a reward system that we use to really take away that behavior. And the reward system for an aggressive dog, if the dog is truly wants to bite a man for real. Most don't. Most are bullies. But let's just say you have that one that just wants to bite, like a young Mao at 8 months old that maybe someone just got too much dog for or something like that.
Right.
I think of Aaron's dog, Atlas.
Yeah,
for
Atlas,
instance.
for sure.
That's a dog that comes with too much dog, does this, does that, and then you get the dog a job, and the dog, you know, becomes his best friend.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and I mean, I completely agree with that. You know, I've seen it personally a few times where we've had dogs come in here with crazy aggression toward humans or whatever, and within 10 minutes, man, we have them on a little bite wedge, completely controlled. We're petting it, on the head, and it's almost like you're watching that dog look up at you while it's biting on that wedge and going, "Thank you."
Yeah.
That's fuck, man. That is a truly, truly beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, I just tell people all the time, it's like, imagine being pent up with all this aggression. You want to hurt somebody, and someone lets you not only hit a heavy bag, but they put on the lightest suit and just let you beat your ass. Like, they just have just enough padding on that you're pummeling them and you're hitting bone and flesh, but you just aren't hurting them enough, but they're letting you think you are. Like, that to me is like doing bite work for an aggressive dog. Like, they're getting to punch you and bite you. And they actually, a dog that's not real will stop biting, because it's not rewarding. They're not getting that, you're hurting me. They're just getting the, okay, cool, brother, that's awesome. And if they're not really in it for the real deal, they'll stop biting, in my opinion, and they'll just go away. But again, you got to have a suit on. But we've talked about that, how I deal with aggression dogs. I put the suit on. That was one of the things you were like, oh, that makes perfect sense to me. That was to me, the first thing you took away from bite work was, holy shit.
Dude, and it's so simple. I'm like, how the fuck did I never think about that? Yeah. As we discussed, I had my own little, routine that I would always do with the aggressive dogs, and it worked. Yeah. It just took a few days, right? It took a couple of days, depending on the dog, and a lot of time in those couple of days. But, it worked. And then when you told me that, like, bro, just put a bite suit on, let him bite you, and realize that it does nothing. And we did that. And I was so excited to try it, and then we finally got an aggressive dog, come in, and we did that. And I was like, man, yeah, like it just sped up that whole process so much.
Or you're going to realize you got a real dog on your hands.
Or you're going to realize you have a real dog on your hands. And then maybe you need to think about actually turning that into a controlled,
or testing it and buying it.
Or testing it and buying it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you're heavy into working with the bite dogs and all that. So you're very familiar with dogs' jobs and needs and all that stuff. What would you say to the average Malinois owner or high drive Shepherd owner? Or
is this the part where I get in trouble?
It could be. You're the owner, bro. You don't get in trouble.
That's true.
What would you say to those people that, they don't have the time or the money to get into the sport or whatever? What's your advice for those folks?
And they already bought the dog?
Yeah. They call you because they typed in dog training in Georgia and
it popped up.
You popped up. They called you. They said, I got this 9-month-old crazy ass Czech Shepherd, and I got to do something. And then you tell them, you evaluate the dog, and you tell them this dog needs to bite, like for real. He needs to bite me for real. And they say, I don't have the time to commit to that. Because realistically, Joey, that shit happens all the time, right?
Yeah. The honest answer is I usually carry an empty crate around with me, and if I test the dog and it's that good, then I'd probably call Michelle or Steve, shoot a video, send it to Robert over in Holland, and we'd all kind of make an assessment on the dog. But if the people wanted to keep their dog and work on their dog, and maybe they wanted to, I would sit them down and be real with them, as far as I could be, as far as, my opinion, what I thought the dog could be and what I thought the dog needs to do. And, the thing that I kind of pride myself on a little bit is being able to help the people understand that in a good way, and not make them belittle them, or make them feel like they're lesser of something because they can't handle the dog, or it's too much dog for them, or one of those comments. I like to give them the opportunity to try, because quite honestly, there's nothing more rewarding than opening up someone's eyes to, like yourself, to bite work, to decoy work, to a job that they thought they, as a human, didn't even think they could possibly do. Maybe they thought it was over their head. So I would try that route first, but ultimately I would try to put the dog in, either rehome the dog, buy the dog, or I probably, if they weren't willing to do the effort and they wanted to just nerf the dog down and not build the dog in that drive, I would probably farm it out to one of my friends who was in more of an obedience kind of a setting of getting a dog family ready.
But are you the type of trainer that'll actually lay it down for those owners and be like, look, you have to fucking do this. Like, you cannot do this to this dog. You can't hold on to this dog for 9, 10, 11 years, you know.
Yeah, no fucks given. I would definitely not care about, again, I would be polite as I possibly could be about it, but I would definitely not sugarcoat anything to anybody as far as the capabilities of their dog or and again, it's just my opinion. They could, as we all know, you go 7 trainers, get 7 different opinions, but if they're paying me for my opinion, they're gonna get it. And even, you know, it's not going to be with kid gloves, but I'm not going to be rude about it, but it's definitely going to be a very matter of fact. And quite honestly, I've had people bought dogs off of me and given me the same treatment, and I actually like it. I'd rather someone be honest with me and not really down my dog because they just can, but to be honest and be like, this is the faults that I see, because until as a owner or handler or whatever, until you come to grips with what your dog's faults are, then you won't be able to grow and be part of that dog and help that dog. If you constantly live in the shadow of this dog can do these things or that things, and it's not that the dog needs to get tested every day and all that kind of crazy shit. I'm just saying that you have to become real with what your dog is. And
it could get dangerous, right? I mean, if you're persistent in keeping this dog and the dog's a working dog and you're not working with them.
Yeah, if you think you're going to watch a couple of YouTube videos of some, you know, your favorite trainer healing a dog or doing some food luring and think you're going to jump on a 9-month-old,
fuck you up.
Yeah, you're going to get it.
Yeah, right. So
I mean, it may not be that severe, but you're going to get it.
And that goes to, you know, even going back to the pet world, you know, picking the right dog.
Yeah.
You know, for you, you know, and again, doing your research, you know, if you get that German Shepherd, you know, from, you know, your backyard breeder and you take them because you want him to be a protection dog and you watched 8 total minutes of YouTube videos on how to do it. So now you're an expert, and you take that Shepherd that wasn't specifically bred for this kind of work, and you go back time to your fence out back, and because you saw, you know, other trainers agitating the dog and, you know, you're shoving sleeves now in the dog's face. Like, now you could create a fearful dog that's afraid of moving objects going toward them, right? I mean, would you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I personally would not do that, but yeah, that's...
Well, of course.
But that's one of those things. But
that shit happens. That's what that's my point, is it happens, and that's kind of what this show is about, is not necessarily calling people out, but educating them so that they understand how much of a commitment getting a pet dog is. I mean, it's...
Yeah, I mean, not only do you have to pick out the dog, I mean, you could get into far as picking out the decoy, picking out the kind of training you like. You know, you got IPO, you got KMPV, you got French ring, Mondio ring, agility, SDA. I mean, you could go on and on and on. So the one thing I think, and again, there's probably many other decoys out there who would agree with me, is the one thing that's a little bit disheartening and it's hard to deal with is, and I don't do a club day anymore that often, so it doesn't really apply to me now, but when you have a training style, if you will, or a training method that you're training for, and people go around and go to like 8 different trainers, and you know, that's like people coming to Off Leash and then going to one of your competitors and then going to PetSmart and then coming back to you and going like, hey, this isn't working, and you're like, well, no shit, because you didn't do it our way.
Yeah,
whether it's right or wrong, it's your way.
Right.
So I think it's, for me, whether it's I don't personally like back tying. So if someone was back tying a dog and doing table work, which nothing I do, and then they come to me, they're going to be like, hey, well, why aren't you doing these things? And I'm like, well, you know, I just don't do them. And again, that's a big thing with the dog world. The problem is they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, well, I was over talking to Joey and Alpha Training, and all he wants to do is free shape bites and does this little thing, and I don't get it. And the guy's like, all bullshit. He don't know what he's talking about. We do table work. That's the way we do it. Or we do back pressure, opposite reflex, and da-da-da-da-da, and all these things. And it becomes this infighting craziness that goes on. For me personally, it's just about building the dog and getting that forward aggression, powerful bite, big grip. You know, Robert, you know, my business partner in Holland, you know, when I first met him and started talking, you know, grip. It was pounded into my head in a beautiful way of just grip, Joe. Don't worry about the big hits. Don't worry about the long hits. Grip, short things. And, you know, that was one of the things that kind of stuck in my head. And, you know, when I'm here taking Chesapeake Bay retrievers and making them do bite work in 20 minutes.
That was awesome.
It's because I'm working on the grip. It's like if I can get these dogs to grip on something and bite something and say, like, that's the prey, it's in my mouth and I'm not going to let it go because I won't eat tonight. That mindset. And again, that's taking a little deeper than Robert explained it to me, but it was really important for me as a decoy to understand grip and getting a dog to punch or counter.
Now, I have a question.
Sure.
And I'm curious about this. So say you take a shepherd or a mal and as a puppy, it comes to you at 6 months old and owner wants to start bite work with it, okay?
Yeah.
And you develop that puppy for, let's say, 6 to 8 months, okay? Mm-hmm. And they're coming weekly, a few times a week, and the dog was clearly, you know, meant for this. And, you know, you're seeing huge potential in the dog. And then the owners stop coming.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, personal reasons or whatever. What could anything happen if that dog has learned? I mean, could that go in a negative way at that point? I mean,
it depends on the dog's foundation. I mean, if the dog got solid, I mean, if you had a dog from 6 months to basically what you're saying, about 13 months to a year and a half of age, that's going to be some pretty, if it's, done right, it's going to be some pretty heavy imprinting and foundation. So under that theory, if the dog has that solid foundation at a year and a half old, it would really come down to the dog being able to handle the pressure, and not only handle the pressure, is the dog ready for the pressure? A dog at 15 months old that's handling quote unquote pressure, whatever the hell that means. And that, again, that's up to the party involved, depending on who you're talking to and what part of the United States or world you are.
Yeah.
So to me, it comes down to, you know, is it going to mess the dog up? Not necessarily, but, you know, the second part of its life, training, is maybe not as important as the imprinting part, but you can see a dog degress. Absolutely.
Okay, take the degressing of the bite work out. Can it go in a negative way to where that dog then becomes, he's searching for it, right? And it's not there. So eventually he says, fuck it, and he goes out and finds it himself. Is that something that you would see? Or, you know, on occasion.
I mean, I don't know about finding, but they could definitely become, the fight is not as rewarding. It's not there enough. In other words, if I think an analogy I used before, if you have a really good sparring buddy that really brings out the best out of you and gives it and takes it as much as he gives it, and then you go and find a lesser of a sparring buddy, and it doesn't mean a lesser of a fighter, of a lesser of a trainer, a lesser of a sparring buddy. Again, the HVR, to use you, the high value reward as a decoy, because we are just a big toy to them. Yeah. If that decoy has a higher value of a reward than the one in front of them, the dog will choose the higher value reward, especially if it's a well-known decoys. Me and Cody we had this situation. We were doing some canine work in the police department, and we had 3 decoys. We had me and Desiree and Cody in the same arena. We let the dog come in, and the dog didn't always choose the first person. It chose basically its last adversary of who it had, or its funnest fight that it had. And it was fascinating to us. It kind of stopped us for a second, like, whoa, we just kind of stumbled onto this cool thing. So we figured out, did some problem solving and worked the dog through the conditioning. But it was fascinating to us to see that the dog selection process wasn't the nearest person in a suit. And we all had suits on. So going off that analogy of equipment fixation, the dog should have seen the first suit and bit the suit.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It chose the person. The one scenario, I was coming alive. I'm hitting a crack stick. I'm definitely the agitator. And I was in the back. And the other 2 decoys were kind of moving. And the dog... And this was a canine unit, so to be fair, this is a trained police dog.
Sure.
The dog chose the right target. And for us as decoys, that's pretty fascinating, that that can happen in those kind of settings.
That is interesting.
So it's I don't necessarily know if you can really hurt a dog by going to multiple trainers, but I definitely know you can encourage a dog.
But can you hurt a dog if the dog just stops training, period? I mean,
I don't think it would do that. I think the training would just get bad.
okay, so you don't think that would necessarily...
I think it would be reset as the new norm. So if you're in a club and your dog targets on the bicep, and then you're in a club and they're okay with the dog targeting, on basically like they had an IPO sleeve on, but you have a suit on, so it's on the front of your arm on your forearm, and they're okay with the dog biting there, and all of a sudden you come to my place and I'm like, oh, we're gonna do a frontal, and I put it up and the dog's kind of like jumping at my wrist. So it's good. The training will change, and depending on the person you're in front of, become better or worse. But that's the only thing I've ever noticed when people go around is bite placement is a little off, and the dog will become chewy, like it's been looking for a man in the suit, and the suits are usually too big, too bulky, big Ray Allen Kumo suit or something like that. So I'll see one of those two things, or I'll see a dirty dog that's just had too much pressure put on it, that'll transfer from a bite. As soon as you go up to stroke it or hug it, it thinks it's going to get a wallop, so it fucking bounces out. So and
I would have to assume genetics plays a lot into that as well, just like everything else.
Yeah, genetics, conditioning, conditioned behavior. I mean, you could debate that on Facebook for 10 hours.
Like I would say, if you bring your dog in for aggression, for just training aggression out of the dog, and trainer tells you, no, we should give this dog a job, get him biting IPO sleeves or whatever, and then eventually get up to the suit, and then the owner then stops that. I feel like that it's just a given almost that the dog's going to kind of revert back and relapse to that previous uncontrolled style of biting, right?
It very could happen,
Yeah, so I mean, I guess my point behind that is when you do select a job for your dog, whatever that job may be, understand it's a commitment. Like you owe that to your dog, for their mental stimulation, for going off of my theory of keeping the dog, not necessarily, it's not like I invented it, but a theory that I believe in, keeping the dog as primal as possible, as close to their, primal state as you can without creating, too much chaos, then, I mean, it's just one of those things, right?
Yeah, I mean, the moral of the story is that there's just shitbag owners, and they're always, doesn't matter if you're in a pet dog world or the working dog world, they're just shitbags. And if they did that survey, 4 out of 4 dogs would probably choose to be with fucking dogs.
Yeah, and you may be surprised that having this
they don't
dog
want to be next to you. They'd get 4 out of 4. We want to be with dogs. Imagine that. 3 out of 4 humans want to be with them. That's, that's fucking perfect. That's the real. 4 out of 4 dogs would choose a dog.
That is true.
I bet you not one dog would pick their shitbag owner, which is driving owners crazy right now.
Yeah, right.
They don't love us. So they would just be like, I'm going to be with my dog buddy. Go play in PetSmart with all that garbage. I don't want to be there.
Man, that's a good future topic, actually.
Yeah.
The theory of that.
Yeah.
Right?
It'd be like Planet of the Apes, but for dogs.
Man, somebody jot that down. No, nobody. Nobody's in here. Sean.
Somebody already stole it.
Sean's hitting our boards today. Shout out to him. Thank you, sir. So let me ask you this, kind of to wrap this topic up, which I think I've learned a lot from you. And, again, we're just trying to get the education out there for when you do get a dog, or if you already have a dog and maybe something's going on, you've already tried the obedience, the dog is solid as shit on his commands, but you can tell it's missing something. It's still spazzy as shit in the house. It's still, not exhausted. That goes back to what Nick was saying last week. Like just walking your dog, a few blocks around the neighborhood may not be enough.
Right.
And in his theory, 99% of the time, it's not enough. So with all that being said, how do these pet owners, how do they evaluate which dog or which job their dog specifically needs? What do you recommend? If whether that's to go to your reputable local trainer or do it on their own. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, their gut instinct is going to go to YouTube or do some breed research or something. I think that's a good place to start. Understand the breed you got, and that's assuming they got a purebred and not something from a rescue. The dog hopefully has been evaluated by a reputable trainer in your area, and I would actually go to a couple trainers to get an opinion of my dog to be evaluated. If it's a working breed, I would try a local club, whether it be, IPO, KMPVE, pick one, your poison. And it wouldn't be to evaluate the dog to do that particular exercise. It would be to evaluate my dog. But again, we're getting to a loaded thing of how many trainers really can understand how to evaluate a dog's drive and ability. That's the big question. So let's assume there's one out there for every person to go into. Once they make that, they have to be real with themselves and decide, what do I want to realistically do? Do I want to go to a club and drive an hour and a half every Saturday to watch my dog, bite a rag that gets rolled on the ground and then put her up and drive an hour back for 15 minutes of work? And pay $100 an hour.
And that happens literally all the time.
All the time.
We have a trainer here that travels to New York 1 or 2 times a month just to train in Mondio ring. It's a commitment, man.
Yeah, it is. And I think 10,000 hours for IPO dog or something like that. You know what I mean? There's all these statistics out there, and then you got to find a working dog club that you like, and you got to find a training style that you like, and then you got to find a dog trainer that you like. So there's a lot that goes into, for me, and again, we have a rescue as well, as like you do, that there's a lot that goes into it more than do you have a 6-foot high fence and do you shop at fucking Whole Foods? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem right there. As soon as we stop that and start telling people you got to do something with your dog or you don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, I 100,000.
All my rescuer people just said, I'm out.
But I 100,000% agree with you on that. And, we keep talking a lot about, Malinois and the Shepherds and all that stuff because those are typically the working style breeds. But guys, your mixed breeds that you got from your local SPCA, those dogs are capable of working too. They may not be capable of bite work. But as we talked about earlier in the show, every dog's capable of hunting, and
not to pick on the Shepherd people, but the loser with the that shops at REI with the lab in the back of his car and the kayak that's never dirty, and the Keens that are clean, like that guy needs to be on the front page of this, because with the lab that's neurotic, that wants everybody in the world to nerf it down so he can still look cool out of a fucking REI catalog.
Let's find that guy and get him on the show.
Yeah, he needs to get in a thin bite suit.
Yeah.
Prove his man card.
Hell yeah. So
sorry, rant.
So that's all right.
Rant over.
No, that's cool. So, my recommendation is if you have a dog and it doesn't sleep on the couch all day,
sometimes
find a job for your dog, and do your research and make sure that you select the correct job. I want that to be the biggest takeaway from this, is make sure you choose the correct job for your dog. And you, as Joey was saying, don't give your dog something that it can't do. And
I always say nobody gives away a good dog.
Yeah.
No one's ever walked in the shelter and like, hey, this son of a bitch hunts his ass off, is obedient as hell, loves kids, and will bite the shit out of someone in your house.
But I
don't love him anymore because my landlord can't.
My landlord won't let me.
You buy a new fucking house and you tell that landlord kiss your ass if you got that kind of dog.
My wife and I are moving. We just had this discussion last night. We're literally moving for our dogs.
I always loved when he's the perfect dog. Like I get rescue calls on, he's the greatest dog ever, and I'm like, nobody gives that dog away. They sell that dog sometimes because I've sold those dogs.
Yeah,
but nobody gives that dog. Not even Oprah gives that dog away.
Yeah. Well, but
maybe under their seats.
To go off of that, maybe they never found it. You know what I mean? Maybe that dog does have a crazy ass hunt drive. And, you listen to episode 4 of the Dog Show podcast and you said, I want to go get my dog evaluated. And you come in and we're like, holy fucking shit. This dog is, let's Joey Morris. I'm gonna FaceTime you. Check this dog out. We're showing our trainer buddies how awesome this dog is. So, you may have a diamond in the rough. You never know. And again, you may find a new passion that you didn't know you had.
Yeah.
So, final thing, Joey. Final answer, I should say.
Okay.
Is it an absolute necessity? If your dog is somewhat active and it is just a pet, to find a job for that dog after or before obedience training is done?
Yes.
Okay. And I agree with that. Awesome. So, man, that was a great topic, huh?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, hopefully you guys got a lot from that. We're gonna post some links after this, and so you guys can read up on a few of the things that we discussed. So what do you have? So Joey Morris, real quick, let me explain something about Joey Morris. He does this really, really awesome thing that I absolutely love, which is to go to these crazy cities and go live on Facebook, go into a crowd of people in these crazy cities in front of these monuments and stuff, and catch dogs live on Facebook.
Yeah.
Dude, what cities have you done so far?
Well, we've done here in DC, we've done New Orleans, and we've done Atlanta.
New York's next, huh?
New York, Philadelphia, we're going to do there too. Then we're going to go over internationally, and I won't give those ones up yet, but those ones are going to be pretty epic as well. It all kind of started because the one thing I've always heard is, the video can be edited, did that dog, was the pressure there, blah, blah, blah. So I was kind of just vibing one day and was like, how can I take away all that away from, well, the dog didn't do this or the dog didn't do that. And I was like, fuck it, let's just go live with it. And so I was cruising, doing a seminar in Louisiana, and called up Sidney Cates, and I was on my way down because his kennel was presenting me down there, and I was like, dude, I want to do something epic when I'm down there. And he's like, okay, man, just tell me what you want to do. And I was like, I want to catch a dog live on Facebook in the French Quarter. And he was like, you're fucking crazy.
And that went pretty viral, man. I actually saw that before I even knew you.
Yeah, it got a little nutty. So he called the captain. This is the best part of the story. So he called the captain of the French Quarter, whatever that parish is down there, and he's like, hey, I got this buddy, and he wants to catch this dog in the French Quarter. And the guy was like, I don't think there's ever been a dog, active canine, that's bit someone in the French Quarter. And he was like, but we can make it work. So long story short, that's where it started. And I just basically walked down in the street and said, send him, and caught the dog live, put him up on my shoulder, gave him a kiss on the head. And I was like, I want to keep doing this.
That's so awesome.
The next one was, like I said, we did a Lincoln Memorial, which was cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
I still think you should have sent him on that old lady where she was there.
Oh,
You waved me off like a pitcher. I felt like it was like the ninth inning and 2 strikes.
She was like 90, bro.
And I'm like, I want the gas. And you're like, forget the gas, Ricky. Give him the. I wanted to bring the gas. You're like, no, we can't do it. But it was close. But it would have been epic either way. If you had nuked her, it would have been.
Oh my God.
Epic in a different way, but it would have been. I would have still laughed. Unfortunately,
we'd have a different story right now. That's for maybe if we were here.
So yeah, not to go on a tangent, but yeah, that's definitely coming up in the future. Is going to be.
What do you have in mind? Which cities are coming up?
I want to go out in LA. I'm going with Cody Talent. We're going to be doing the Working Dog Conference again, doing some demo stuff out there.
Where's that at this year?
In St. Louis.
Right on.
So I want to do the Arches. Is another one. I like to I try to pick places that people know. With the kind of monuments that they know. I definitely New York. I have 3 or 4. I mean, the Empire State Building. I mean, as many places as I can get into and get access to. I want to catch a dog there, if not 2, at the same time. And it's not just about getting bit. I want to put some showmanship into it, and entertain. And
Yeah.
That's kind of what I want to do with the decoy work. And like I said, me and Cody definitely have conversations about it. Going into my next thing is Catch One, decoy inspired apparel company that I've started with Tank Mosley. And that should be kind of cool. It's going to be everything that's decoys. You have a silhouette on a decal of you being in a decoy suit. Right. So it's stuff that we want to kind of promote for our decoys people, if you will, so we can kind of wear our own kind of gear.
Sure.
And then doing some workshops and seminars.
Hell
And,
yeah.
with people like Warrior Dog Foundation and Cody.
Right on. Anything else going on? Anything else to plug?
Oh, some future business with
hopefully
with
you and I have
off-leash,
some,
I was waiting for you to break that one out. I didn't know. I didn't want to jump the ship too early.
So we are, we might as well go ahead. We are going to eventually partner up. We're waiting for some contract stuff from attorneys to come through.
Yeah.
We're going to eventually partner up and for this sale of a personal or executive protection dog that you can buy that will be trained in bite work by Alpha Training Center and trained in obedience by Off Leash Canine Training. And you're just going to get this beautiful, epic, amazing, obedient, social, and that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Social dog that will get along with your kids and all that. So that's coming in the future. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited to come back when we're ready to release that and just
So
talk about that for an hour.
So yeah, we're gonna get the contracts done on that. We will keep you guys updated with that process. So we're excited about that. So Nick is currently, as I said at the beginning of the show, he's done with his what was it, a 5-day training seminar that he did out in...
I'm going to start calling my training seminars vacations. Like, I'm going to start calling my vacations training seminars. I get it.
And I've been saying that shit to him for years.
Yeah. Is that an IRS thing?
Well, I can tell you
is that
though,
a wife thing? I can't tell which one is that.
He works his ass off though. I'll tell you that. He'll send me every once in a while. I guess your phone does that. That health check where it counts your steps and all that shit.
Yeah.
Like he'll send it to me every once in a while after one of his seminar days.
All that pasta he's eating, he better be walking.
Dude, it's crazy where he's walking like a total of 213 floors and like
but
18
knowing him,
miles
I'm calling
in
him
one
out.
day.
And knowing him, he found some, in his words, some shitbag on the street, and it's like, here, I'll give you $50. Go walk these steps, and then bring it back to me.
I'm telling you, I can personally vouch for him. Him and I did Max Scherzer's 2 dogs a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
2 rescue dogs, whatever. We did 5-day seminar. He had one, I had one, and we trained together for the majority of it. And that motherfucker works, Jack. Let me tell you. I mean, I was like, damn, I thought I worked a lot like with these dogs. Like he works, and you know, it's fun to watch him train dogs because it is very methodical in how he does it. He ensures the dogs are getting the breaks, and you know, they're staying happy and motivated throughout the entire thing. So it's fun to watch. And so anyhow, his seminar I think ended yesterday. Or 2 days ago, maybe, and so he's still in Italy, doing what I guess tourists do. I think I saw him post on Facebook a few pictures of him standing in mountain ranges and some shit with those baby blue eyes.
Pose. I have the best Nick Beam pose, but I can't do it because I'm sitting down. But I might end the show with it.
We'll get a picture of it and we'll throw it on the dog show.
I mean, I do enough selfies.
Facebook page.
I really can't talk shit about them because I do enough selfies myself.
I know you do, and we'll post some of those selfies on the dog show Facebook page as well.
So
while he's been in Italy, I turned over Clover, which was the service dog for the highly autistic kid. She's been doing really, really well.
Awesome.
Owner has had her out, you know, testing here and there as to be expected with a pup. But owner's had her out, and she's been sending me updates and videos, so everything's going really awesome with that. And then since then, I've taken in Shake and Bake and Sherman for detection and obedience. His name's Baker. I call him Shake and Bake. And
is Sherman a lab? Is he a black lab?
Yes.
I knew it.
I
knew it because is that dude shop at REI?
No.
Come on, he does. He totally does.
No, this is so she actually came from New York. I actually did bake her in the tracking board and train, and man, she's a super great owner. She takes her dogs.
I take it back then if she's listening.
Yeah, I got you back. I won't throw your name out there, but I got you back.
Now that you said it, I'm like, I know who you're talking about. But
Yeah, now you know who I'm talking about.
I'm just kidding. Sherman is a great dog.
So anyhow, they're doing excellent.
Please
I think
buy your next puppy from me. I'm sorry.
There you go. They're about 1 week into the program, and Baker, like I said, he's here for detection. He's already kind of sitting on odor passively, and we're just working on his focus right now. And as you know, with my style of detection training, the pattern is huge for me. So I'm sticking with the pattern and trying to get him 100% on that. And then Sherman's off leash already doing his thing. So those after videos will be coming up here in a couple of weeks. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot going on. I'll be honest. We're house shopping, same old shit, still house shopping. I have a feeling this isn't the market to be house shopping right now in the winter months, but
yeah, not buying for sure.
But we're being patient. So, anyhow, want to thank everyone for tuning in to episode 4 of the Dog Show with Nick and Joe, and I want to personally thank my very, very good friend. He literally flew out from where'd you come from, bro?
New Orleans, Louisiana.
So he flew out from New Orleans to Virginia late last night, and as soon as we're done with this, I got to take him to the airport. He's got to get back on the plane, and you got work to do this weekend. So
yeah, I'm actually going to hang out with the family for a couple of days. Got a corporate event to do Saturday night.
Awesome, man.
And then hang out with the family, and then back to it, back to grind.
Awesome, man. Oh, sincerely appreciate you being on the show.
It's been a pleasure, man.
You're a great friend of mine, and we'd love to have you on again. So we'll be back with Nick next Friday at 2:00, where you can watch live. Make sure you go to our iTunes and down our iTunes podcast and download it and subscribe. And if you wouldn't mind, leave a review. We'd greatly appreciate that. And we will see you guys next week.
The Dog Show.